So this involves Module 6, Converse, Inverse, and Contrapositive of if-then statements. Module 7, Inductive and Deductive Reasoning. Module 8, Writing a Proof. So these are the learning competencies. The first one, determine the inverse, converse, and contrapositive of an if-then statement. Then illustrates the equivalences of the statement and its contrapositive. B, the converse and inverse of a statement. And then uses inductive or deductive reasoning in an argument. So these are the learning competencies for the week 4 module. I also write a proof, both direct and indirect proof. So let's have recall. So as I've said a while ago, dahan problema sa inyong ang pag-answer because mali ang mga, especially sa conditional statements. And even identifying the hypothesis and the conclusion. Mali, no? Okay. Xavier, recall, conditional statement is a logical statement that has two parts. What are those parts, class?
Hypothesis and conclusion.
Okay, hypothesis and conclusion. So when a conditional statement is written in if-then form, the if part contains the hypothesis and the then part contains the conclusion. And I just want to emphasize the if is not included in the hypothesis and the then is not included in the conclusion. Pero ang yung gibuhat ito, giapil lang if then. So, ano? So, let's have example. If two lines intersect to form a right angle, then they are perpendicular. This is an example of a conditional statement. So now, you're going to identify the if, the hypothesis and the conclusion. Who would like to identify?
Me, ma'am.
Sige, go lang.
Me, ma'am.
What is the hypothesis?
Hypothesis is two lines intersect to form a right angle. Then
Okay,
the conclusion is
correct.
they are perpendicular.
Very good. Then they are the lines, or they referring to the lines, are perpendicular. So, klaro na. Dili ibutang ang if o then. No? Klaro na, class?
Yes,
Question, ma'am. Kung gibutang to, ma'am, wrong to siya, ma'am.
No, yung wala pa siyang ang ba lang, pang circulan, then I make some adjustments. Depende. So, I deducted points, 1, dito. Tanawa lang sa pagbalik sa iyong papel. Okay, let's have example. Another example. Identify the hypothesis and the conclusion in the following items. Number 1, if a number is a whole number, then it is an integer. Okay, unsa man ang hypothesis ani?
The hypothesis is if a number is a whole number, and the conclusion it is an integer.
So sa hypothesis I want to emphasize walay labot ang if. So ang hypothesis, a number is a whole number. And then sa conclusion, tama ka, it is an integer. So clear na?
Yes.
Okay. Next, if 2x minus 1 equals 5, then x is 3. Okay, who would like to answer? Unsa man ang hypothesis? Saikon?
The hypothesis is 2x minus 1 equals 5, and the conclusion is x equals 3.
Okay, very good. Ikaw na ka, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, number 3. 8y equals 40 implies y equals 5. So, this is a new to you. Okay. Naka-remember mo sa iyong module na ay arrow dito. Ang iyang arrow nasa arrow, iyang arrowhead niya nasa right, diba? So, kato pasabot niya, if, then Q. So, kanang arrow, that means implies na siya, or the then. So, if, then, so, ang implication adto niya, katong arrow, that is the if-then statement. So, if P, then Q. So, ang line nga pattern sa conditional statement, pwede po ka mag-implies. Lain po nga form sa conditional statement, but it's acceptable. Okay, so can you identify the hypothesis and conclusion? Anybody? Anybody?
The hypothesis is 8y equals 40 and the conclusion is y equals 5.
Oh, correct. Okay, 4. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 if the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 2. So, kaya nagibali siya, no? Si
Yes, ma'am.
angle 1 daw kuno congruent to angle 2 if the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 2. Ma'am, asan measure dira? Ma'am, kanang M dira, that means to say, measure na siya. So, kani ang atong topic karon leading to geometry gini siya. So, gituduan mo diri, logic man nga part. So, because we're going to use this in writing a proof, no? So, nakalagid mo if then. Murag na mo sa inyo ang kuha na. Kung matuon kag tarong, then grado dako. Ana ba? Ano ang statement ko? Conditional statements man na siya.
Or siya cause and effect.
Cause and effect in sa English pa. Okay. So, what is the hypothesis here?
The hypothesis is angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, and then the conclusion is the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 2.
Pero naman ang if. Namasto nga ang if. Ano siya? Kuan ka na.
Ay, okay.
Muhatag og reward kung naka-perfect ka sa exam. Ano ba? Pero ito, ang hypothesis mo na siya ang cause. Then, ang effect mo na siya ang conclusion. Okay? Sige, balik lang ga. Ang answer, ana.
The hypothesis is the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 2, and then the conclusion is the angle 1 is congruent to angle 2.
Very good. That's correct. Any questions, class?
No further questions, ma'am?
Wala na? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Ano pa di class? Okay, number 5. RS class. Kung RS naman good siya, wala siya ka ng segment sa taas. Mean to say, referring to the measurement. The length of specifically length. So, pag angle gani class, measurement. Pero pag length, pag kanang mga segments, length ang imong kanana. Dili. So, ani siya no? Basta measurement, the measure of angle 1. So, you're referring to angle. Pag yung kaog ka ng segment po, length po nung gamiton. So, the length of RS or segment RS is equal to the 1/2 of the length of segment RT. If S is the midpoint of segment RT. So, unsa na no, sa inyo na bang grade 7 kay I don't know kung nakadulong pa man ni for na ang unsaon pagbasa. So, pag na segment, ma'am, kanang line nga walay arrow, segment na siya, line segment. Katong line nga nay arrow, sa pamangod sa reality kay basta straight kay line na siya. Pero sa math class, ang line kay infinite. So, pag walay arrow, that means kasi dili infinite, that is called line segment. Everybody say line segment.
Line segment.
Line segment.
Okay. Sa ganun yung ang kalahian, ang segment, dili infinite, na siya endpoints. Pero ang line, infinite siya. Walay kahuman. Wala po yung beginning, wala po yung ending. We never know. Ano? So, for this class, unsa ato ang kuana ni hypothesis? Unsa man class? Nalibog sila. Taman, perhaps sa previous nga example. Unsa na pa makatulog ay makakauna ta. Okay. So, ako na lang. So, ang hypothesis diri is I think di mo answer, di mo ko lumasa. So the hypothesis here is S is the midpoint of segment RT. Then ang conclusion, RS is equal to the length of RS or segment RS is equal to the is equal to one half the length of segment RT. Are you following?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 6. Twice of the sum of A and B is equal to 2A plus 2B. So, kanipod class, ang yung hypothesis ani is just 2 or twice the sum of A plus B. And ang 2 times the quantity of A plus B dira. And then equals mo na. So, conclusion na siya. So, ang conclusion niya is 2A plus 2B. Kaya nalaglag forma, no? Kakaiba. Pero it's still if-then statement. Next, number 7. If 2z minus 5 is equal to negative 3, then 2z is equal to 2. What is the hypothesis?
The hypothesis is 2z minus 5 equals negative 3, and the conclusion is 2z equals 2.
Very good. Number 8. Angle P implies angle P. Sa'yo na, Nicholas. Mga naman, apahiraman, ma'am. Yes. Hypothesis is angle P. Ang conclusion, angle P nagyapon. Class, in this case, class, later on, later on the next topic sa third quarter, magkuha naman dito ka na mga definitions, theorems. I guess naka-encounter naman na later, i-solidify siya, ihanay siya. So, apil na ni siya. Naiingon na. I think, napamilya naman ng reflexive property. So, mali siya ang reflexive property. Number 9. If segment AB is congruent to segment BC, then B is the midpoint of segment AC. So, klaro ka nino, unsa man itong hypothesis.
The
Hypothesis is segment AB is congruent to segment BC, then the conclusion is B is the midpoint of segment AC.
Okay, very good. Okay, number 10. Ay, kanang di man ko makakita sa inyo, pwede pailalam sa unsay kasi nag-answer. Okay, thank you. Okay, number 10. Will answer.
The hypothesis is a line lies in a vertical plane, and the conclusion is the line is vertical.
Yun sa mana.
The kaplisman.
Okay.
And
Okay, now. Mao ni ang iyong kilisuran.
pagsihanat ng isa, ma'am.
Ina lang, meron ka. Pag mag-answer yun, please, mama. There again. Ha, lang pattern ha sa pag-answer. So next is transforming statements to if-then form. To transform a given statement to a conditional statement, we need to first identify the hypothesis and the conclusion. When you write the statement in if-then form, you may need to reword the hypothesis or conclusion. So, ang technique really ay, kung naka-given statement, and if you're going to rewrite it into if-then form, identify first the hypothesis and then the conclusion. Okay, let's have an example. So, in some cases, a statement does not present the hypothesis and the conclusion right away. So, naato sa atong sa atong last week 3, lisod mo. Like that of the theorems. For cases like this, we need to have a deeper understanding of the statements we are referring to. So, naiisa, di ka kasabot. But if you understand the nanay-sulod, isa man na. Sorry na lang, hindi siya accept. So, if you understand the theorem, the deeper meaning of it, so, imo na siyang ma-present in a way na good na if-then form. So, depende kung nakasabot mo. So, example, 2 angles are supplementary if they are linear pairs. So, unsa giunahon, ato sa identify unsa ang ang hypothesis. So, unsa hypothesis ani? Unsa man kas ang hypothesis?
Two angles are supplementary.
Read
The hypothesis, they are
they are linear pair.
Di.
Okay, ang conclusion,
Two angles are supplementary.
who's answering?
Si Al.
Almuete, ma'am.
Ha?
Almuete, ma'am.
Okay. So mo ni siya. So as I've said, di pa identify na ko ang hypothesis. So if they are linear pair. So they are referring to two angles. So if two angles are a linear pair, pwede po form a linear pair, pwede na siya class, then they are supplementary. Ay na pagutag two angles sa conclusion. Pwede na they are, you're referring to two angles. So that naman good. So naadali ang English. Uban sa inyo, wag yung nag-restate. I don't know if they are reading. By the way, just a reminder, na ako na-interview ng estudyante, ako na analyze, ang itabo sa inyo kay, kung na question dira, inyong i-search sa internet, then pangitan yung answer. That is not good. Class, you need to read and study na module. Kaya kung yung buhaton na makita mo answer sa internet, you will never learn. Saan na lang kung mag face-to-face, kung gusto mag-engineering, mag-doctor na, kung mo nyo balaan sa math. So you really need to study and learn. Okay? So, plenty reminders sa inyo, ha? Dili lang pakita na sa internet diretso, kung dili, mag-study, unsi pasabot dito. Pangitaon nito ang, ano nga ni man, namin man-learn ba? Because you're aftering the long-term learning, not the short-term. Kung short-term class, malinda na ninyo na. Kaya ang pinaka-sad pag yun, kinawa man may mga long-term learning, pag-abot niyo higher years, dedo. Wala may mabutang. Wala may magamit. Kawawa jud mo. So kamo rin ka problematic. Sa tanin yun na.
Yes, ma'am.
So basaha agtaro ang module, dili magdali. Ang kana inyong batasan na karon lang kita ang module, sugdi na dayon. Ayaw ugma ang ipas o karon pa pud ka nahimo. Pwede. 11th hour. So reminder lang na. Okay, next question. Okay, the sum of the measures of complementary angles is 90 degrees. Sige.
Alagi,
So, ito na buhaton, ato sa i-identify ang atong hypothesis, then ang conclusion. Kini, mo ni example sa, actually, this is a theorem class. Yeah. So, in-depth, unsa di pasot ano? So, unsa ang hypothesis kay diari? Sudyo mo, misud ko niya. Sige. Identify sa ninyo para makahimo mag-if then. So in theory, the sum of the measures of complementary angles is 90 degrees. So mean to say, ni-conclude siya nga ang sum daw kuno sa measures of complementary angles kay 90 degrees. So but pa sabot, ang imong hypothesis diari, you're going to imo sa establish nga ang katong duha ka angles kay complementary. And then you will conclude that their sum is 90 degrees. So this is the if-then form. If the two angles are complementary, then the sum of their measures is 90 degrees. So dili siya maklaro sa imong statement unsa ang imong if of the, I mean ang hypothesis and conclusion there. But as I've said ko, kini nga case, you need to really understand the statement. So is 90 degrees. So klaro kayo nga kana ang imong i-conclude, no? So mao nang kadong complementary angles imo sa establish. If the two angles are complementary, then the sum of their measures is 90 degrees. Is that clear?
Yes,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Mo ni siyang item number number 1 man sir. Okay. The hypothesis. So, no? The two angles are complementary. How about the conclusion? Ano si conclusion, ani?
The sum of their measures is 90 degrees.
Is 90 degrees.
Okay. Who are you? Who are you?
Who you?
Is there a bill doing?
Kaspe, ma'am.
Okay, ma. Ay, babae, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Imong voice kay Kwan. Chada. Okay, humanata na. So now, let's proceed to converse, inverse, and contrapositive of a conditional statement.
Okay.
So, una na sa converse of a conditional statement. To write the converse of a conditional statement, we interchange the hypothesis and the conclusion. So, the then part now becomes the if. part. Well, the if part becomes the then part. So, interchange lang siya. Okay? So, example. So, from the conditional statement, if P, then Q. Ang converse, ana, if Q, then P. Okay? So, si P mo na ang hypothesis, si Q mo na ang conclusion. So, gibali lang. Example, if 4x equals 20, then x is 5. Who would like to answer? Who would like to give the converse statement for this given conditional statement? Anybody?
If x equals 5, then 4x equals 20.
Very good. Who's an answer?
Kaplis, ma'am.
Very good. No? Ano na?
Yes, ma'am.
Wala din sa iyong module class. I mean, kani mga examples ba na sa iyang topic pero wala na sa kuan. Okay, kani. If a triangle has at least two congruent sides, then it is an isosceles triangle. Sige. Kinsa ang makahatag sa converse statement for this?
Hypothesis is it is an isosceles triangle, then conclusion is a triangle has at least two congruent sides.
So, what is the converse? You read, you state it.
It is an isosceles triangle, then a triangle has at least two congruent
Okay.
sides.
Good. Magsugod ba ta og it sa kuan sa hypothesis nimo? It kung ang
If-
nagbasa ana kisa man na si it. Sa man.
If it is an isosceles triangle,
Kuan. If you ka mag-it, so it ka you, diba you're referring to third person, diba, ng it? English na dali. So, dili ka if it, mga sa, unsa man ang it, pasabot niya, o sa, baboy, kabaw, ano, diba? Malibo ang tao. So, may ka na, if the triangle is an isosceles triangle, then it has at least two congruent sides. Nakuha na?
yes,
Kanin
ma'am.
niyo? So, si it na sa conclusion gapon. Pero, si triangle, akong isa kanong, si it ba sa, kaning it is an isosceles triangle, replace it with triangle. So, no? Maklaro, gid siya kay, di man ta pwede magkuha na, kasama si it. Si kabaw na, sana si angle ba na, si side ba na, ana. So, ato klarohon, ato i-define, kinsa na siya. So, man siya, balik tanong. So, the converse for that, check to imo sequence. So, si it lang ato ikuan. If the triangle is an isosceles triangle, or pwede po, if the triangle is an isosceles, then it has at least two congruent sides. Naklaro na?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next. If a segment is subtracted from the two congruent segments, then the differences are congruent. Who would like to answer?
If the differences are congruent, then a segment is subtracted from two congruent segments.
So, pero kung confusing kayo, no? If the differences are congruent, sa man siya? Differences sa?
Segment.
Of segments are congruent. Okay.
So, if the differences of the segments are congruent, then a segment is subtracted from two congruent segments. Pwede nga naon mo. Okay? The difference of segments, additional dala. Okay, next, number 3. Wala na day. Nakuha to, so balik sa converse, imo lang i-interchange si if og si then. Ibali lang. Inverse, to write the inverse of a conditional statement, we could negate both the hypothesis and the conclusion. So when you say negate, negative, no? Imo lang ko na ng negative sa hypothesis of the conclusion. So for example, unsa may negative sa gwapa? Dili gwapa, di ba?
Pangit.
Ugly.
O pwede na pangit. Pero for example, kung wala gyud ka ng word na pangit, be, sabihin ko dili gwapa. Okay, di ba? Sabta niyo?
Yes,
Example,
Yes, ma'am.
more siya antonym ba? Pwede na siya may tabo. Pero mostly gives ato as a negation sa math, not. We're using the word not. Okay. So consider the statement if P then Q. So karon, if not P then not Q. As I've said. Kaya wala magigay siya antonym sa math. Good. Pag ingon kag congruent. Unsa may antonym sa congruent? Not congruent. Unsa may antonym sa equal? Not equal. Naday, unsa ba naday line word na dili equal sa kwan? Not equal, wala di ba? Para sa yung example gain na guwapa, pangit. Na siya kuan, antonym na siya specific nga negation. For sa math, most likely class not yun ang ginagamit. Pero I think naman po yung word sa math nga naging siya kuan, negation nga dili mag-not. Let's see. Okay, kini. Conditional statement. If 4x equals 20, then x is 5. Sige, unsa kaya inverse ani? Anybody?
If not for x equals
If
20, then not x equals 5. Sorry.
Okay, good. How about the others? Si Hana to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How about the others?
If 4x is not equal to 20, then x is not equal to 5.
Very good. Kana answer. If 4x is not equal to 20, then x is not equal to 5. Ano siya? Kuha ninyo? Okay. Next. Conditional statement. So, kanina po. If two congruent angles are subtracted from two other congruent angles, then the differences are congruent. Nala mo. So, mo na mo. Kaya na siya. So, mo na. Anybody?
If two congruent angles are not subtracted from two other congruent angles, then the differences are not congruent.
Sige daw, analyze. Kung dili daw subjectan ang duha ka angles sa duha ka congruent angles, ang may tabo dili congruent. Pwede ba siya? Sakto ba dili ta mag-not sa are not subtracted? Okay, any idea? Ay, subtracted is the verb. Ay, pwede man po kaya atong equal gani. This is actually kuan man to. Sige. Any other answer? Any other answer, class? Ako na lang.
If
Sige, go. Carl. Go, Carl.
if two not congruent angles are subtracted from two other congruent angles, then the differences are not congruent.
Okay. If two non-congruent or not congruent angles are subtracted from two other congruent angles, then the differences are congruent. So, bisayon na to ha, ang duha daw kuno nga dili congruent angles i-subtract sa congruent nga angles, two other congruent angles. Example, kining duha ka angle, isa 45, ang isa 90. Then, isubtract nimo siya sa duha nga congruent. Example, duha congruent man ni angles. So, it might be their measure is 30. So, kuhain ang differences. So, 45 minus 30 is 15. 90 minus 30 is 60. Yeah, definitely. Dili gid congruent. Tama siya, Carl. Again, if two not congruent angles are subtracted from two other congruent, ma'am, lagi ka nagnat sa congruent. Pwede man good siya kung example, not congruent angles. Ipareha ni mo sa pikas. Sorry. So, ang isa ra inat na to. Na-visualize ninyo, class? Question. Okay, next. If two angles are vertical angles, then they're congruent. Sige, anybody?
If two angles are not vertical angles, then they are not congruent.
Okay, very good. Who's answering?
Santillana, ma'am.
Okay. Good. Okay na, nasabtan na lang kuan. Inverse. Imo lang ikuan ang not nila or ang negation nila. Ang negative. Okay? Kung wala question, proceed sa contrapositive. Contrapositive. Okay,
Contrapositive.
to write the contrapositive of a conditional statement, we first get the inverse of the given statement. So, to inverse gani, kung ano sa nato ang negative, munang kontra-positive. Kontra-positive din siya. Afterwards, we interchange the hypothesis and the conclusion. So, duha na ka-step yung gibuhat. Gi-inverse nimo, humanda yun, imo na yung gi-interchange. Kung sa ang negation, sa hypothesis o sa conclusion, din imong gi-interchange. Kuha?
Yes, ma'am. So, step by step siya, ma'am.
So, consider the statement if P then Q. So, ang next na step, if not P then not Q. Then, ang positive then ano nimo, imong balihon. If not Q, then not P. Ano lang. Ikuha ang inverse, then gi-interchange. Muna na ang results sa contrapositive. Or, na-shortcut class, imukuha ni mo negation sa converse. Diba ang converse kay FQ then P. Kuha ang negation. Makuha na mo dito. Pwede nga na po. Pero sayang ba confused ano kay itong converse? Kaya converse, ana. Kung kabalo ka sa converse. Okay, example. If 4x equals 20, then x is 5. So what would be the contrapositive? Okay.
If not x equals 5, then not 4x equals 20.
Okay. Other answer? Hapit na, hapit na. Hapit na, class.
If 4x is not equal to 20, then x is not equal to 5.
Hapit na, Jud.
If not x equals 5, then not 4x equals 20?
Kana, nearest na gina siya. Correct. Who's answering?
Ako, ma'am.
Okay. Ano answer, class? Inverse man na. Muna mo the positive. If x is not equal to 5, then 4x is not equal to 20. Question?
Ano siya lisudi?
Lisod siya?
Ano siya lisudi? Analyze, ma'am. Gamay. Gamay.
Basta kabalo ka sa inverse, class, yun naman. Wala akong vitamins. Anyway, proceed tayo. Okay, let's start number 1. If two segments or angles are congruent, then their like divisions are congruent. Contrapositive ta. So, baliw na to na. Pwede man, pwede nga na. So, the contrapositive for this is, if the like divisions of two segments are not congruent, then they are not congruent. They are not congruent. Na lang. Again, if the like divisions are not congruent, I mean, if the like divisions of two segments are not congruent, then they are not congruent. Again, if the like divisions of the two segments or angles are not congruent, then they are not congruent. They are, I'm referring to the segments. Questions? Magtanong kayo, huwag kayong mahiya-hiya. Tanong. And next. Okay, number 2.
If the two segments are not congruent to each other, then they are not congruent to congruent segments or angles.
Correct. If the two segments or angles are not congruent to each other, then they are not congruent to the congruent segments or angles. Correct. Question. Or pwede po to each other. Question.
Wala, ma'am.
So, yun dyan, no? So, yun ba? Okay, next is equivalent statements. From the word equivalent. Okay? A conditional statement and its contrapositive are either both true or both false. Paminaw, ha? Ano sa partner ni conditional? Ano sa partner ni conditional? Si contrapositive. So, it could be true or false. Similarly, the converse and inverse of a conditional statement are either both true or false. Pairs of statements such as these are called unsa man?
Equivalent statement.
Equivalent
So
statement.
basically, class, what are the two pairs of equivalent statements? So what are those?
Ma'am, conditional statement and contrapositive, ma'am.
Correct. The other two? The other pair?
Converse and inverse.
Converse and inverse.
Converse and inverse.
Correct. Converse and inverse. So sa inyong kuan, tong sa answer sheet, so gipangita mo no equivalent statements, no? So may nga nakaditog. The conditional o the positive. Ana lang. Ayaw na ninyo isulat. Ingon ito nga conditional and the positive. Then, ang other answer, converse and inverse. Check to din mo. Kung nagbasa magtarong, ani. Kung uban naman nakapit sa klase, kung nagbasa, patakata sila. So, you will just say, conditional and contrapositive statements are one of the equivalent statements. Other one is converse and inverse. Sabtan. Perfect na dahil mo this, no? Na dahil may kailan ka points. 10 points. Kaya duwa ba ni ka points, Jude? Question. Question? Okay, kung wala question, let's proceed. Okay. If the measure of angle A is 91 degrees, then angle A is obtuse. So, unsa to siya ang niya, ang equivalent niya? You are given with conditional statement. Unsa ko equivalent niya ani?
Even
Yes? Unsa equivalent ni conditional statement? See?
Contrapositive.
Contrapositive. Okay, so just give me the contrapositive statement.
if measure angle A is 91 degrees, then angle A is obtuse.
Contrapositive?
If angle A is not obtuse, then
So, karon na lang, ayun na sa. So, everybody get the converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive of this given conditional statement. I will give you 2 minutes to do it. Go. One minute left. What's the answer? Yung naman nahimo. So, you can now identify the equivalent statement, the conditional. Go.
Answer.
If
If the measure, if angle A is not obtuse, then the measure of angle A is not equal to 91 degrees.
Very good.
very good.
Tama to siya. Basta akong PowerPoint, Converse ang una. So, ang conditional dere, ang iyang equivalence ay contrapositive. Nilain, si converse at si inverse ang equivalent pod. But let's go back to the definition. It could be both of them true or false. Okay, let's have the conditional statement. If the measure of angle A is 91 degrees, then angle A is obtuse. Is this true statement? Okay. Analyze. Tinuod ba na?
No. No.
No, class?
No, no.
No, ma'am.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Angle A is 91, so obvious siya. Okay, true siya. So, since true si conditional statement, expected po na si contrapositive true po. If angle A is not obtuse, then the measure of angle A is not equal to 91 degrees. That's actually true. 91 is obtuse angle man na. Not obtuse man si angle A, correct na. How about the converse? Is this true statement or false?
True. True, ma'am.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am.
False.
Who says no?
No.
No one answer. Kung pala man si Aisa din ng tanghani. Ang sa
True
class?
siya, ma'am. True.
True siya, ma'am.
What
True
if
man
si
siya,
A?
ma'am.
Ako himuon si A na 100.
True dyan.
Unsa, ma'am?
Sa ma'am?
Si A, himuna ko um, si A, himuna ko siya kwan. 100.
True dyan.
True siya, ma'am.
True dyan po, ma'am.
True siya po, ma'am.
Above 90 degrees naman siya.
Example. Mga gwapa ang mga gwapa ang mga babaeng nag-start ang pangalan sa A. So, example. Si Anesita. Gwapa ba? Not necessary, di ba? You know, ang kagwapa ko, kasi naman sure. Because in the eyes of God, we are beautiful. And another example na lang. Example.
Beauty is in the eyes of...
Beauty and the Beast.
Ano lang. Ano lang, muna na lang class. But this is actually false. Why? Angle A is obtuse, and the measure of angle A is 91 degrees. That is not necessarily 91 degrees because it could be 100 degrees. Manong yung talaga na. Kasi obtuse, daghan magud kapilian. Ano ninyo?
Okay, ma'am.
Pwede po siya, that is from 91 above or 90 above man siya. Delete na, wala ang 90. 90 point something. Obtuse siya, 90 to 180. From 90 to 180, this obtuse angle. Okay? And the inverse also, if the measure of angle A is not equal to 91 degrees, kini ang mas klarong false. Then the angle A is not obtuse. No? Pwede man, kung di 91, pwede siya may 100. Ang 100 is an obtuse. So, mali ang pagka-conclude. So, mo nang, mas klaro sa inverse na false. Di kayo maklaro sa converse na false. So, ang balik class, ay mong buwag na ana, ang statement may mong false kung na contrapositive, ay na counter example. Mana siya itong next example. Okay. The conditional statement and the contrapositive are both true, making them equivalent statements. Okay, converse and the inverse are both false, making them equivalent statements as well. So, kinadayin akong tukion. Inductive and deductive reasoning. So, there are statement. So a conjecture is an unproven statement that is based on observation. So unproven statement na conjecture. So based on your observation, prove siya na prove. You use inductive reasoning when you find a pattern in specific cases and then write a conjecture for the general case. So there's a pattern, then you're making a conjecture out of it. So wala pa siya na prove. So to show that the conjecture is true, you must show that it is true for all cases. Okay, muna siya na. You can show that the conjecture is false. Muna to siya kang na. Ma'am, how you're going to prove nga ang isa kasi false? So, pwede nga ni, conjecture is false. However, by simply finding one counterexample, from the word counterexample. A counterexample is a specific case for which a conjecture is false. So, for again if, go back to dito. If the measure of angle A is inverse. If the measure of angle A is not equal to 91 degrees, then angle A is not obtuse. So, hindi mo siya not equal to 91 degrees, so pwede ka 100. 100 degrees is a counterexample for this statement. The inverse statement becomes false because of the counterexample na 100 degrees. Angle A measures 100 degrees. Mo na ang counterexample. Nasabtan?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Example.
Yes, ma'am.
Tanan psychor ganahan ug math. Psychor students. Kana tinuod na?
Dili, ma'am.
Dili.
Tagayog counterexample. Tagayog counterexample. Pwede ko mingon din ka nga, ako ma'am, di ko na math. O, counterexample na ka. Nasabtan? Ha?
Yes, ma'am.
Ama lang.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Nasabtan lang ang counterexample?
Yes, ma'am.
Gito kami na hatag counterexample. So that is part of inductive reasoning. So again, sa inductive reasoning, you're making a conjecture, and sa conjecture, that is a statement that is unproven based on observation. So pag mag-observe ka, na ay pattern. Then mahimo kag statement, pero tinuod ang conjecture kung tinuod siya sa tanan general case, di lang sa isa ka case. True for all cases. Okay, example for this. The sum of two numbers is always greater than the larger number. Sige. The sum of the two numbers is always greater than the larger number. Is this true?
Maybe.
Ito so class.
False.
Antibiotic ba? Honey. Hindi po ko na isa. Honey class.
False.
False, ma'am.
False rin siguro.
Give a counter example.
The sum of two numbers is always greater than the number common.
Okay. Kung false na siya, tayo counter example.
False.
Yeah, tayo example.
Yan ba, ma'am? If ang sum sa two numbers is 50, ang larger number kay 100, so false siya. Kay dili siya greater than. Nana ba?
50?
The sum of two numbers. Wait.
Give me the two numbers.
25 and 25.
25 plus 25
50.
equals 50. Tinood siya. Isa two numbers. So 25 and 25. Pareho naman siya. Liha daw.
Ay, okay.
25. Greater, ang sum man. Ang greater than. So, ang sum nito 50. 50, of course, is greater than 25. Tinood siya, statement.
Aw, dili, ma'am. Sa 150, ma'am.
100 plus 50, 150. Diba?
Ang
Ang 150 is
namin
greater than 100.
ang ginamain ko niya ma'am kay ang kaning kaning partner, the larger number kay 100. Then the
Tapos,
sum of two numbers
oo.
is 50.
Dili, ang sum man. So, ang sa imong duha ka numbers di ay.
25.
25,
The sum
25.
of numbers. 20.
Pila ang sa 125?
O,
Are you
yung,
two numbers?
yung two numbers daw, ma'am, kay 25, 25. Tapos, equals to 50. Tapos, ang larger number sa pasabot niya is 100.
Dili, ang iyang mga gift sa larger number dira is kato lang duha ka numbers. Which of them is larger? So, dili mo qualify si 25, 25 kaya equal naman sila. So, two numbers na isa gamay, isa dako. So, always greater than the larger number. So, larger number, give from your given na nga two numbers. Dili ka magkuwag another na po na number. Sabdan?
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Manulaan ninyo.
Where is the charger? Oh. Kamusta siya mo?
Okay. Ano eh? True or false?
True.
True, ma'am.
True, ma'am.
Wala may mga tag na false. Kisa may mag-say og no. Wala mo no. Kaya hindi makahatag og counter example. Ako, I challenge you. This is false. I'll give you negative 20 plus 20. Pila man na?
Zero, ma'am.
Zero.
Zero. Ang say sum nila, zero ang sum. Is it, unsa may negative 20 and 20? Unsa may larger number sa ilang duha?
20.
Ang positive 20, ma'am.
Ang sum kay zero. Is zero is greater than 20?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No,
So
ma'am.
this statement is false. Kaya nakita ko counter example. Ano na siya? This statement
okay.
might be true to some cases but not all cases. So pag false is some cases class, diretso na siya. False na nga statement. Nasabtan? So di ka pataka og ka ng state ka ng tan-awon jud niyo kas mag-state ko. Kay bali mo yung naabot siya ang math man kina exact nga truth. Ang truth gid siya ba? Kung truth na siya, mean to say that it's true to all cases. Okay? Mo na true sa math. Question. Actually, pwede mo makata example na lain. Sige, wala pangita daw line na example, counter example rather. Sige, kasi makata number, other example. Wala? Wala man. Wala man say. Naa diri oh. Kana,
Negative
negative class.
5. Negative
Negative
5
5.
negative 5 equals negative 10.
Negative 5 plus negative 10.
Yes,
Am I
ma'am.
correct? Negative 5 plus negative 10. Okay, class, correct na siya. Ay, nabalik na naman ko. Negative 5 plus negative 10 that is negative 15. But negative 15 is not greater than with, kasi dako ato nila, negative 5 ug negative 10. Di ba kay negative 5 ang mas dako?
Yes, ma'am.
That is actually, negative 15 is less than negative 5. So, mo lang, one of the counterexample for this statement. So, kani example class, negative 2 and negative 3 is equal to negative 5 para sa example ni, isa example gay na. Itong both negative. Kasi ito siya.
Balis ko, ma'am.
Si balis
See? Balis ko. Pero si ani nga example. So, the sum is negative 5, but that is less than with negative 2. Negative 2 is the larger number. Ano siya? So, false statement siya. Sabda na ninyo ang counterexample? Ang counterexample again, ang sakit ng counterexample? Sa counterexample class? Counterexample, that is an example that makes the statement false. Ano lang. So, more gonna may ka nga, itong example na pala ano na. Wala yung example class. Mga false statement. So, mana siya, inductive, no? Nakay conjecture. A statement that is unproven based on the observations. Mana, remember ha, kana ang mga terms. Okay. Kung ang inductive, so ang inductive class, na pattern na inductive. Marabatog from the observation or siya mag-close. Maklaro na niyo ng mga chats dala. So, sa inductive is from the word inductive. So, from the example, from specific to general, ano siya, no? So, naakay mga gitag nga mga examples or mga cases. So, mga kag pattern for that, and you're going to make a general statement. That is the conjecture. So, mana inductive reasoning. On the contrary to that, deductive reasoning, kini, deductive deduce. So, uses facts, definitions, accepted properties, and the laws of logic to form a logical argument. So, ang deductive na yung mga facts, definition, accepted siya sa math. And from that, so this is different from inductive reasoning, which uses specific examples and patterns to form a conjecture. So, sa deductive, so meaning from general to specific. So, mayroon deductive. Example, if x squared is greater than 25, then x squared is greater than 20. Na naman naka, ma'am. So, x squared is greater than 25 bando ko, no? Example, so kung greater than 25, shall we say si x kay 6. 6 squared. Palang 6 squared class?
36.
36. Is it greater than 25?
Yes, ma'am.
So, klaro man no, kung greater than 25, so mas greater than pagod siya sa 20. 20, gipa-lesser lang niya. If facts man ginang x squared is greater than 25. So, kung x mo 6 squared, samot dito, 36 is also greater than 20. So, mga yung mga deductive. So, other, if x is greater than 5, then x squared is greater than 25. Klaro po na siya. So, if x, shall we say, x is 6, greater than 5. So, imo mong i-plug in x squared, so 6 squared. Still greater than 25. Na siya. So from these statements, by the way, pwede ka makadeduce ana, ada yung conclusion. So if x is greater than 5, then x squared is greater than 20. Ano naman na, ma'am? Ano na gigamit, class? So we're using transitive property from this. So anyway, so transitive property, ma'am. Later on, we'll discuss that sa next na sa fourth quarter. Okay, so kay ka yung third statement. From x greater than 5, niabot siya x squared greater than 20. Tanawa ha, x squared greater than 25 man siya. So then, mo-proceed ka nga sa x squared greater than 20. Ano lang? Muna yung transitive property. So from this class, okay, let's draw a conclusion from each given statement and identify the kind of reasoning used. Okay, example number 1. 5, 10, 15, 20. The next number is, say naman eh. What's the next number?
25.
25.
25. That's correct. Unsa na ang reasoning gigamit ninyo? What kind of reasoning? Is it deductive or inductive?
Inductive.
Huh?
Deductive.
Reasoning.
Deductive.
Deductive. 5, 10, 15, 20. Ang sabahin.
Inductive, ma'am.
Ay, inductive din, ma'am.
Okay, ano? 5, 10 na. May mga cases ba? Mga pattern bitaw? Pattern ba itong kuan? Inductive. 5, 10, 15 naman. Nag-add naman siya 5, di ba? Nag-add, ano ba? Muna nag-add naman siya 5. 5 plus 5, 10. 10 plus 5, 15. 15 plus 5, 20. So, mo nang conclude ka, the next number would be 25. So, ang imong gigamit dira, inductive. Nga naman, nag-base mo ka sa pattern. Nangita kang pattern ba? Nag-add siya 25. Ay, 5. Manang 25 answer. So, conjecture, you're making conjecture out of that. So, that's inductive reasoning. Nakuha.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 2. Coplanar points are points on the same plane. X, Y, Z are coplanar. Therefore, ganun class. Coplanar points are points on this. Actually, fact niya, as in, definition ng coplanar points are points on the same plane. Yung hatag siya example, X, Y, Z are coplanar. Therefore, unsa kaya makungkudi mo ani? Coplanar mas X, Y, Z. So, mean to say, X, Y, Z
Points?
are points on the same plane.
Plane.
Ano siya? So, si X, Y, Z are points on the same plane. So, what reasoning you use here? So, coplanar points are points on the same plane is actually definition. Ang atag siya example, X, Y, Z are coplanar. Therefore, di-conclude ka nga, X, Y, Z are points on the same plane based on the fact or definition given. So, unsa man na siya nga reasoning method?
Deductive.
Deductive.
Very good. Deductive na siya. Number 3. A regular polygon is equilateral. Belen, B-E-L-E-N na siya. There are the vertices of the pentagon. Is a regular pentagon. B-E-L or Belen is a regular pentagon. Therefore, what can you conclude?
Therefore, Belen is equilateral.
Very good. Belen is equilateral. Okay? Unsa man ang reasoning?
Deductive.
Deductive pa rin. Kaya kasabot na, regular pentagon. Pentagon is a polygon. So, tanin yung, polygon is a general term siya sa mga tanan kinds of, polygon. Sa any closed na figure is a polygon. So, regular pentagon man siya, pentagon is a polygon, so man, i-conclude ka nga, Belen is equilateral. That is deductive reasoning. I-take note niyo ha. Okay, number 4. A child's teacher in preschool was a female. In his grades 1 and 2, his teachers were both female. The child may say that. What do you think?
His teachers are female.
Ansa? Teachers are female. Correct. Tinawad na siya. Ina, ng bata, no? Innocent kayo. Conclude sila based on their experience. So, unsa man ni siya nga reasoning? What do you think? Unsa man ni nga reasoning class?
Inductive ba siya, ma'am?
Deductive, ma'am.
Deductive. Nga naman.
Yeah.
Na may mga based yung cases or experience, di ba? May pattern ba? Preschool, female. Then pag grade 2 na pod, female na pod. May nilang bata nga. Tanan teacher, female. Pwede nga na pagka-state. They may say that all teachers are female or teachers are female. Ano lang. So, this deductive. Nakuha ninyo? Meron na yung mga given
ma'am.
examples bitaw. Nakabantay mo sa sa deductive kay daghan kag facts or definitions, then daghan kag example. Dili sa inductive, daghan kag mga examples. Tapos out of that, you will conclude or you're going to make a conjecture. So muna siya ang inductive specific to general, so mga specific examples, then you will make a conjecture muna ang general. Ang deductive, deduce from general or a definition or a fact, and then you're going to deduce man, give a specific statement. Specific. Okay? Number 5, Filipinos are peace-loving people. Julia is a Filipino. Therefore,
Julia is
Julia is
Peace-loving people.
ay, good people.
Julia
Ay,
is one of the
ano,
peace-loving people.
peace-loving
Peace-loving
person.
Julia.
Okay.
Matanda si Julia.
Okay, unsa man ni nga reasoning nga type?
Kuan.
Inductive, ma'am.
Deductive.
Yeah. Unsa sa?
Deductive.
Na yung
Inductive,
deductive, na yung pag inductive. Ano inductive man?
Deductive, ma'am.
Deductive? Sa yung deductive, ano deductive man?
Uses facts and definition ba?
Nasa conclusion.
Ang conclusion, asa ang conclusion dira?
Natin siya example.
Julia is a Filipino.
Asa man siya answer? Deductive, inductive.
Deductive.
Deductive.
Deductive. Kaya gideduct.
Actually, deductive.
Yay!
Deductive na siya kay. Filipinos are peace-loving people. This is a conclusion. It might be not a fact there, but it's a statement. General statement siya ba? Generalize niya nga Filipinos are peace-loving people. Then, ito siya example, Julia is a Filipino, so therefore, Julia is a peace-loving person. This is a good example of deductive. Sabdan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, na pati example dali. Okay, determine the conclusion from the given statements. Afterwards, tell whether the conclusion is true or false by stating the reason for the assumed conclusion. If angle A is a right angle, then the measure of angle A is 90 degrees. Wala mang degrees class. Sige.
True.
True.
Tagaay ko sa iyang true na siya. Okay. Tagaay ko sa iyang equivalent niya. Suman. Unsa may kuan ani niya, contrapositive, di ba? Conditional ang iyang equivalent kay contrapositive. Alam pa mo?
Can I give the answer, ma'am?
Yeah. You give the answer.
If measure angle A is not equal to 90 degree, then angle A is not a right angle.
Oh, very good. Unsa gyud yung pangalan?
Balindong ay siya.
Ha? Balindong?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, correct. So, mo na siya ang contrapositive. Sige. Is this true? True man ang
Yes.
conditional.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
about
True.
the contrapositive? Ito, ang contrapositive kay, if the measure of angle A is not 90 degrees, then angle A is not a right angle. Correct?
True.
Still true.
True.
So, both true sila, ang conditional o ang equivalent. Good. Okay, how about the converse and inverse?
Converse. If the measure of angle A is 90, then then angle A is a right angle.
Converse na, converse.
Yes, ma'am.
Sige, balik ka na.
If
the measure of
angle A is equal to 90, then angle A is a right angle.
If the measure of angle A is 90 degrees, then angle A is a right angle. Kana ba? Tama?
Yes, ma'am.
Muna ang converse. Okay. Is that true? If the measure of angle A is 90 degrees, then angle A is a right angle.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
True.
True, ma'am.
How about the inverse?
If angle A is not a right angle, then the measure of angle A is not equals to 90 degrees.
Okay, correct. If the angle A is not a right angle, then the measure of angle A is not 90 degrees. Is it true still?
True, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so kung nabantayan ninyo, ang duha ka pair of equivalent statements both true na nga ang circumstance. Unlike tong first example to gaina, yung isa katong ang conditional o ang contrapositive false. False ba to? Katong gaina bitaw, tong first example na to, remember? Pero ang converse at inverse, magbaliktad guro ko. Basta pwede nga na. Not necessarily nga both false sila, both true pod. Pwede po sa both false. Okay? So, dili mo ugson ha. Analyze gid mo class. Sabtan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Wait, ma'am.
Di nato na example number ito.
Ma'am.
Kaya murag kuan na gid mo. Proceed ta. Direct and indirect proof. Proving na ta class. A direct proof, so kato siya no, na mga panahon na ang mga statement false. So, sa'yo nakaayo siya. So, man yung ma-prove ang statement na false, maghatag ka og so ihatag
Counter-example.
counter-example. Good. Pero kung ang statement true, sa math class, unsa kay botang to kung true ang statement?
Direct proof.
I-prove ni mo siya. For example, mingon ka nga, si sa pinakalat sa kalibutan gani, si Kuan, ano lang, si Warren Buffett kay dato kayo, billionaire guro siya, si Bezos, no? So, sa pag-prove ni mo, sa talawon ni mo ilang bill, I mean the assets, ano? Pila ay mga properties, ano siya. So, sa math pod, na yung mga statement na true gid siya. For example, angle, the sum of two numbers, the sum of two integers, positive integers, is always greater than the greater integer. The sum of two integers, positive integer. The sum of two positive integers is always greater than the larger positive integer. Again, take note, the sum of two positive integers is always greater than the larger positive integer. Sige. Is that true?
True.
True. Yun, paano makakabalo nga true siya?
Example is 10 plus 5.
So, bali, yung gusto lang tanan mga examples, gusto lang yung tanan combination sa positive na integers. No? Ano pa sabatin mo?
Yes.
Okay. But in reality, class, hindi naman mabuhat. Ano man, kakapoy ra gyud masikag mag-add-add ka pila ka buok, naday posted today ay makakuha day counter example. So in that state, sa math class, we cannot accept example in proving a statement, in proving a true statement. Pwede ra siya in proving a false statement, you give a counter example. Pero pag magkuan ka o ka ng true statement, invalid ng magkata example, di na siya acceptable. Mao nang I will introduce to you indirect o direct proof. Pareha gud nang sa kanang kaso-kaso ba nga ay gipatay ni Pulano si Pulana. Kung sa kuan pa na sa mga case pa na sa crime, kinahanglan na siya mga evidences. And you're going to get an attorney for that. So, mag-base na siya, dahan siya mga statements, based sa mga facts, based sa, basta hindi ay kay, nag-defense na dahil si Kuan, si Pulano, against kay Pulana, ano ba? So, pwede siya mga priso, ano, no? So, sa math po, naagi tayo proof. So, wala po siya na proof. So, it could be direct, indirect. So, ang direct proof is one of the most familiar forms of proof. We use it to prove statements of the form if P then Q, or P implies Q, which we can write as P implies Q. Kanang arrow, kanang pa-right ng arrow, P implies Q ang pagbasa ana. Okay? The method of the proof is to take an original statement P when we assume to be true, and should use it to show directly that another statement Q is true. So, ang method sa direct proof, i-assume nimo nga ang imong hypothesis true. And then, you are going to use it to directly show that another statement kato si Q, kato si imong conclusion, tinuod to siya. Mo na ang direct proof. Okay, assume the statement P is true. The next, use what we know about P and the other facts as necessary to deduce that another statement Q is true. That is, show P implies Q is true. Example, ani klase. Nan ko mapakita ni sa inyo ang i-take to palihog class. Ako ang i-show sa inyo. Example lang. Saan pag-prove? Wala mang guna example dala. But gusto na ko ipa-show sa inyo ha. Wala mang guna siya proof. Pero na proof ang uban ani. Kini na proof ni siya. If segment if the length again kung wala segment sa taas, length ang pagbasa. If the length of segment AB is equal to length of segment CD, prove that the length of segment AC is equal to the length of segment BD. So, sa direct proof, unahon nimo imo siyang i-assume that P is true. Ang P ani bali class mo lang given. Mo na siya ang imong hypothesis. Then, ang i-prove nimo lang conclusion. So, na start ka, balik na dito, AB is equal to CD. Ano siya? AB equals to CD, mo na given. So, mo ni siya example sa direct proof in two-column proof method. Actually, there are many methods man. Pwede po ka mag-send a paragraph form. Pero sa inyo sa kaning grade 8, we're going to use 2-column proof. Nagali po uban na kanang diagram nga style, pwede po to siya. For usually, sa sumusunod na itong mga exams, I mean sa module, we're going to use 2-column proof. Okay? So, sa first statement, you're using the given. So, reason ana given. So, natay duha ka column, statements and the reasons. So, first, mo ng direct proof, assume that the first statement is true. Or, I mean, the hypothesis bali. AB is equal to CD, that's given. So, you're going to use the reason given. So, from this class, na naman ito yung graph, di ba? Yung siya AC equals AB plus BC. Nanawagan niya yung graph. I mean, yung drawing. Si AC daw kuno equals length of AB plus length of BC. Nakita ninyo ang diagram? Or ang drawing? Klaro
Yes,
ba nga
ma'am.
si AB is length of AB plus length of BC equals length of AC? Naklaro na?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Mana siya segment addition postulate. Ma'am, asa makakatag postulate, ma'am? Do not worry, class. Ato na i-discuss sa fourth quarter. Ang mugawa sa third quarter kana ra na mga sample na Unsa dito yung mga pinakasayon na nagagamit na nato. Human, BD is equal to BC plus CD. Awa, BD. BC plus CD. So, bali, ang mga gamitan ng mga following statements after the given based sa drawing or based po sa other given. The same thing, segment addition postulate. So, from this, ang tawa ninyo, BC equals BC. Di ba? Common nila ang BC, length of BC. Tanawa sa second o third statement, common di ba ang BC? Kita ninyo?
Yes, ma'am.
Nakuha ninyo? Okay, so imo establish BC, length of BC is equal to the length of BC. It's actually reflexive property of equality. For example, kung manamin si Carl, ang mugawa si Carl jo, dili pwede mugawas unggoy, no? Muna reflexive property. Okay. So, AB plus BC, ang tawa sa first statement, ang ika ng AB plus BC, so gi-plug in mo na, is equal to CD plus BC. CD plus BC. Manong gi-equal man sila? Diba tanawa ang first statement? Diba si AB equals to CD? Kuha ninyo? Ay, bali. Ani, sa first statement, AB o CD. Since ningon man ka si BC equals to BC, gi-add lang si BC both sides. Munang addition property of equality. O kana, from earlier, nag addition property of equality, ginagamit mo na ito na siya sa una pa. Mag-add ka the same number or the same term on both sides, that is addition property of equality. Okay? So from that, AB plus BC, then CD plus BC. Nantawa sa second o third. Di ba AB plus BC kay equals AC na siya? Kung ano yung second, tama? Kining AB plus BC, is it equal to AC? Nantawa ang second statement. You there, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
AC siya, ma'am.
Is it equal to AC?
Yes, ma'am.
How about CD plus BC? Is it equal to BD?
CD
Is
plus
it?
BC.
Third statement, third.
Yes, ma'am.
Is length of CD plus length of BC equal to length of BD?
Yes, ma'am.
Third statement, yeah. So, bali, mo na nag-substitute. Mo na ng substitution property. So, ginagamit ito na ng substitution property. Kini lang, yes, we'll use it again here. Pero kani, formal lang ni kay proving na mong din siya, class. Class, ganun na may proving. Because, ang isa ka statement, as I've said, dili lang ka makatag mag-prove kag isa ka statement based on example. Mabuang ka ana, muna enumerate tanan. Infinite ba ang example? So, mao nang na-proving. Okay, pero ang isa ka statement, tinawad na siya. That is a fact. Is valid. Okay? Nga na pag-validate sa math. Plus, una na, sila ba't ako kay, sabi na ko ang math, compute lang. Sabi na yung ani. Nasa kay, naling ani di eh. Pero still na-enjoy, ba pa na ako ang pag-skilag math. Anyway, kaya pa, last na gini class. Indirect proof. In indirect proof, you start
Kaya
by
pa,
making
ma'am.
the temporary assumption that the desired conclusion is false. So, gaina, mag-start ka, mag-assume ka nga statement ni mo nga hypothesis or your P is true. And then, you deduce the other statement para makamap kag Q nga true. Dili class bali. Indirect siya. Nag-assumption ka pong ka nga imong hypothesis or your P is true, pero nag-desire ka conclusion nga false. So, mo siya, false conclusion. By then showing that this assumption leads to a logical impossibility, you prove the original statement true by contradiction. So, impossible man siya may tabo, ang assumption. So, manang ma-prove nimo by contradiction. Na yung mga, so na step, namang yung mga circumstance po that they should ma-prove into direct proof. That's why na indirect proof. No? Okay, example. Identify the statement you want to prove. Assume temporarily that this statement is false by assuming that its opposite is true. So kung saan sa mo i-prove, di mo siyang i-false. Reason logically until you reach a contradiction. Point out that the desired conclusion must be true because the contradiction proves the temporary assumption false. So, malang contradiction. Kaya din ako nakuha na yung example dahil. Ray, nilubat na. Ray EG is bisects triangle, angle DF. Prove the measure of angle DEG is equal to the measure of angle GEF. Okay? So, contradiction tani. So, EG bisects angle DF. Magyapon, given ka po na siya. Pero karon mag-assume ta, kaya na kung giingay na no, i-assume na to ang conclusion or atong i-prove nga mali. Not equal man. Assume that the measure of angle DEG is not equal to the measure of angle GF is true. So, i-assume ni mo, dili siya equal. So, as assumption, postulate na siya. Number 3, EG does not bisects angle DF. Ano man? The definition of angle bisector says that two parts are congruent. Since they are not congruent, the angle cannot be bisected. So, sa DF, di ba, si 1, ningon siya nga, di ba, sa September 2 kay DEG, wala mang gutay graph, sayang na makitaan niyo. Kuha na ninyo, i-drawing. Maduin. Wait. Sabi ito, class? Kung i-drawing ha, mas klaro ninyo. Bali kasi nag-bisect niya. Kamot akong gamit to.
Bakit ang bisect na?
Ay, dissects is gitunga. Gitunga equally. Dissect.
Okay.
Dissect. Ay, bisect. Dissect is biology man ang term. Bisect is gitunga niya equally. Manay bisect. Pwede man tunga ang dili equal, di ba? Kaning bisect is in equally jud siya.
Okay, ma'am.
So, mani ang yung graph. CEG man to no, CEG. CEG daw, kani CEG. Gidisect niya si DF. Okay. So, ganyan na. Si angle DF, gibisect, gitunga ni sigma, ay, ray EG. Nakuha niya ang figure? Nakuha na? Hello, everybody?
Yes.
Are you still there? Okay. Manda yun. Balik na dito. Naman ito figure din. Nawala yung graph. Ano naman yung graph good. So kung dili man gusto na equal, nakita man natin sa figure no nga si angle DEG. Balik na dito be. DEG ug GF. DEG ug si DEG. O, si nala. Si DEG ug si GEF. Kita ninyo? Duha ka angle? Angle DEG ug si angle DF.
Yes, ma'am.
So, niingon man siya nga dili siya equal. Niingon man siya nga dili equal, so miingon din ka nga, that means to say, segment ay ray EG does not bisect angle DF. So, klaro man ang iyang pasabot dali. The definition of angle bisector says that two parts are congruent since they are not congruent. The angle cannot be bisected. So, kung equal sila, then, according to the figure, na angle bisector gid ang bisector gid si EG. Pero, so since bisector man, hindi man congruent, so mean to say, the angle cannot be bisected. Manang does not bisects. So, niya gitunga equally. So, mean to say, the measure of angle DEG is not equal to the measure of angle GF is false. So, si number 2 bali, itong assumption nimo is false. Muna na contradiction postulate. That means to say, balik na punta, the measure of angle DEG is equal to the measure of angle GF. Elimination postulate. So, mapugos ta nga, maingog equal sila. Kay false man ang, kung itong dili equal si angle DEG o si the measure of angle GF. Nakuha ninyo? Muna ang contradiction. Again, ang contradiction, plug in the given, tapos, i-assume nimo nga false ang katong i-prove di mga statement. Tapos, from that, nakakuha kag statement ana din imong, then from that class, imo na siyang i-deduce. Mukha mapagyapon ka nga, katong imong gi-assume, false. So, kung false siya, so mapugos na din kag ingon na ang katong i-prove nimo, true. Or, yes, true. Kuha ninyo. Nabad na inyong ulo. See, anyway, nahinay lang, good. Okay.
Dili pa, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. I guess that's all for this
So,
day. Any
you're
question?
welcome.
None,
ma'am.
Okay, di
Most of
kita magpadugay.
our questions.
Sa'yo taog ko ana sa'yo tagtulog kay ita pwede magmabilar-bilar. Okay.
Bas.
I hope you learn a lot from this day, class. From this day, from our lesson.
Ma'am?
Ha? Nasa gistorya. Unsa?